You're craving for harmony. Let's sow seeds of peace. Let's cultivate. Teach our kids love, not to hate. We need books, not bombs, not bombs. Love, not guns, love, not guns. Open minds, open hearts. Together we can make a brand new start. Feel like we can make a brand new start. Build libraries, not battlegrounds. In every city, every town, knowledge is power, key to be free. For a brighter future for you and me. Hand in hand, let's take a stand. For a world that's grand. With every book we grow. Spreading love, letting hatred go. So here's our plea for the world to see. Message peace for you and me. For the sake of our children, let's unite. In a world of love where we all shine bright. Oh, we need books, not bombs, where we all shine bright. Look around, world love where we all shine bright. Look around, what do we see? World, realm, not love where we all shine bright. Build a world of love where we all shine bright. Look around.
Welcome. It's Sunday night, the ESL live stream. Thank you for being here today. Today, we're going to be talking about how to podcast for teachers. If you're watching on YouTube, we are also live on TikTok, Instagram. Thank you so much for being here. We have a special guest, Laura Wilkes, and Wilkes, sorry, and they're here waiting. Stu is going to be here too. So that's the ESL live stream, your live stream. And let's get started with the intro. Thank you for being here. Don't forget to leave your questions. Feel free to say hello in the chat and where you're from. Here we go. Welcome, everyone. The ESL live stream is here. Here we go. That's Sunday night. Maybe it's in the morning for, depends where you are in this world. For some of you, it may be noon or afternoon. Here, The ESL live stream is live from China, and today we're going to have guests from England, from Liverpool. Laura from Liverpool is going to be with us today. We're going to be talking about how to podcast for teachers. So it's going to be really awesome. If you are on the maybe you on the point of thinking about doing podcasting, why not? We're going to talk about this. Feel free to leave your question. And if you are new in here, Mike's Home ESL is a teaching tips channel that help you with your class. We're a big community of teachers helping you with your class. So feel free to subscribe, give some likes, help the channel, and very welcome to all of you. So without waiting, we're going to welcome Stu, my co-host. Let's welcome him.
And now let's welcome the co-host of the ESL live stream, Streamyard and from TEFL.
Welcome, Stu. Thank you for being here again. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm great. The weather is finally getting a little bit warmer in England now, which makes me happy. The flowers are out, the birds are singing, Stu is happy. Yeah, and everything is good.
Yeah, it's all good for a good beer, huh?
That's perfect.
Exactly. All right. Great. So, Stu, I heard the good news for tomorrow, or I don't know, maybe today.
Yeah,
What's happening on TEFL Lemon?
Yeah, a lot's happening. It's been really crazy in the last couple of weeks. So basically, I've decided to launch a free 50-hour TEFL course for professional development. So it's going to have 5 modules. Supplementary materials, language games, classroom management, lesson planning, teaching production skills, and also how to teach vocabulary. And it's completely free because it's tough at the moment. A lot of people out there are, after COVID and everything, money's tight. And
That's true.
often to do TEFL training, it's expensive, right? So I've launched a project where teachers or people that want to be teachers can do some free training to improve their skills. For people who have never taught before, it's just to dip their toe wet before they go on to a longer course. Or for teachers that have already been teaching for many years, it's a good refresher, learn something new, develop themselves, and it's all free of charge. That launches tomorrow. So I've been a busy.
Great. So feel free to scan the QR code that you can see right here, my left-hand Mike. So you can scan, and then it's going to lead you to the Stu's TEFL course. It's a level 4 TESOL, so it's quite a high level, very new. You incorporate stuff like last week we were with Emily, and then she had some doodles, the way using doodles to teach in the class. So you're going to incorporate this into your course, right? So you update it every
That's right.
all the
So
time.
the QR code on the screen right now, that will take you to our homepage. And right now we haven't launched a free course yet. So if you scan that QR, you'll go to the full course, and the full course is just awesome. It's, instead of 5 modules, it's a full 20. And like you say, it's updating all of the time. So last week we had on Emily Bryson, who it wasn't that fantastic, Mike, that live last week. It was like, I learned so much new stuff from Emily, how to present new language, how to use doodles on the board, and now that will be incorporated into the full course. We're already writing new pages for that to go into one of the units on the course. So it's super cool.
Great. And you went to TEFL last week, and then you met someone special who is our guest today.
That's it. So basically, for those of you watching this live stream, if you haven't heard of TEFL, so TEFL has been going for over 50 years now, and it's an annual conference in the UK or in Ireland each year. Like America has lots of conferences. There's ELT conferences all over the world, but one of the biggest, top 5 in the world, is TEFL, and this year it was in Brighton, which is cool because that's where I'm from, so it wasn't very far to travel. And basically you had people from all around the world, authors, publishers, speakers, university professors, teachers, schools, all coming to Brighton to network with each other. We listened to speeches. There were speeches about AI. There were other speeches about pronunciation, loads of special interest groups. If you have a special interest in particular stuff, you can go and listen. And I bumped into Laura Wilkes, who we're going to be speaking to shortly. And she's great, Laura, and she did a talk at TEFL, really insightful. Everyone learned so much stuff. I was able to do a short video with Laura, and basically she worked for many years with a really major company. It's very senior, and then she's left to kind of fly the nest, and now she does podcasting, she does talks, loads of stuff on social media. So if you've come to this live stream today to learn more about how you can improve your digital footprint and get into podcasting and stuff like that, keep listening, because Laura will just blow your mind.
This said, let's welcome Laura.
And now, let's welcome Laura Wilkes.
Oh, what a brilliant welcome. Thank you so much. I mean, that was like the best introduction ever. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Stu.
Oh, good. Thank you very much for accepting the invitation. Stu, of course, recommended, and you very nicely said, yeah, no problem.
Of course.
I didn't know you were watching as well sometimes the ESL live stream, so I feel very touched, very thankful. So we have in front of us a very professional podcaster, because with Stu, we are teachers, so we have some stuff to do first, and then podcasting is something, try to help. So we started really from nothing on the ESL live stream with a poor microphone, with a poor headphones that work sometimes. Just when it's not, when you can't hear me, is going to be Stu that can hear me. So it was incredible. So starting, there's always a start, there's always a beginning, and it's always a pain. But yeah, thank you so much for really for being here today. So maybe you can introduce a little bit yourself, Laura, to everyone, so that they can know you a bit better.
Absolutely. So some folk who are joining this live, and hello to everybody who's watching right now, you may recognize my voice from TESOL Pop. That's the mini podcast for busy teachers. And we are currently celebrating our 6th birthday at TESOL Pop, which is so fantastic. And as Stu was saying, I did used to work in education full time, used to work for some of the largest educators, private educators in the world. But a year ago, I decided to set up my own business, Communicating for Impact, where I help educators and educators in business specifically start recording content, whether it's podcasts, videos, or even starting to get live streams going, so they can really utilize media to engage their students and potentially grow their business as well.
Great. And you have as well you have 2 different projects, if I can understand. I'm not too much clear with this, communicating for impact.
Yeah, so that's the business I set up. That's coming up to a year old, and thanks so much for popping up the QR code there so people can check it out. So that's where I do all my podcast training and pre and post production services. So for educators in business, I work with school owners, I work with independent individuals who want to start podcasting. I take them through the process of planning, recording, learning to edit so they can do it themselves to a really good high standard. And I also offer pre and post production services for larger companies that want to bring me in, for example, as a producer, to plan and help coordinate talent and studios and bring all that together to record series. I've got some really exciting things to share later on this year as we start to publish that content. So that's something to watch on Communicating for Impact to see what I'm up to.
Great. So don't forget to go scan the QR code right here and check out her work, her website, and see. You will have all the different information. I'll send the QR code a little bit later as well. So there's a question that all teachers might ask. I'm a teacher. I'm kind of feeling like I want to start doing podcasting. So how would we start? How would you start? What would be your advice? Because we have big microphones. There are a lot of setups that might cost a lot of money. So maybe we can start with budget stuff. So
Yeah.
how to start? Not only on the material aspect, but other aspect that maybe is good to tell our viewers.
Yeah, well, I think if we talk about the tech, I found like your experience that you shared with you and Stu, like where you started in your media journeys, it resonated with me because I used what I had access to. So you don't need the fanciest microphone. You don't need a professional studio. These things are quite a significant investment. And if you're just starting out, it's best to kind of assess what you already have access to and what you feel comfortable using so that you can experiment and see if podcasting is for you. So for a lot of people starting out, I think most people have access to a mobile phone, right? This is perhaps the best space to start. Microphones for mobile phones have come such a long way. So I am a big fan of the Comica. Let me open this up so I can show this to everyone. This is the Comica Vimo microphone. So this plugs into my phone. It's even got 2 microphones. You can get a pack with 4, I think now, where you can literally do an interview with a fellow podcaster, recording it onto your phone. As long as you're recording in a space that's like a nice, quiet, small space with soft furnishings, like I'm into my living room today, it does the job. That could be your recording equipment. And then you can do some simple editing using free software like Audacity on a laptop or computer, and then think about where you want to host it. If it's in a public sphere, then we've got spaces like Spotify that host for free. So I hope that kind of gives an insight that you don't need to have like the microphones we see in shot now for people that are watching us live. You could obviously invest in this later, but if you're just starting out, why not just start with your mobile phone and a microphone like this one to get recording and commit to 6 episodes. You'll learn a lot in 6. It could be a standalone season, and then you can see, oh, I want to continue with this, or I want to evolve, I want to try something different, and that's a good place to start.
Yeah, it was quite a few years ago, I just started kind of starting a YouTube channel, and again, I had no equipment or anything, and someone said something to me that really stuck with me. He said, basically, try to get your audio right, because so many people have some great content and they really have something important to say. But if you're just using like the microphone, your built-in microphone from your phone or from your laptop, it will sound pretty tinny and it won't sound good. So by like something like that little, what was the microphone you just showed everybody?
So this is the Comica Vimo S,
Right.
but they have other versions as well, which I think have up to 4 microphones.
Got it. Yeah. So, I mean, the built-in cameras on phones these days are really quite good. They're good enough. And if you can just plug something like that in, what you have to say will just be so much better. It will sound so much better. People will just stay on your page longer. You'll get more followers. And it's the first thing, I guess, that you can do. And you don't need big, expensive microphones, like you say, just something you can plug in and away you go.
Exactly. And I think the thing about audio, like you say there, Stu, like audio is so important to get crisp and clear with podcasting. people have a lower tolerance when it comes to audio quality. And I've noticed that in my own experience when I've done recordings in large, loud spaces, like we're at TEFL this week. I've learned a lot about recording in large spaces like that. If I don't control the sound quality, I can see it in the listener analytics that they just drop off, because video people have a bit more tolerance if they're watching you, but when it's just audio only that people are relying on, and they're having to compete with the cacophony of noise, or there's a big echo in the room, or the volume's fading in and out, you're going to just end up losing people, and people aren't going to hang around for very long.
Yeah. So important kind of thing. Yeah, no, really good advice. Yeah, thank you, Laura.
Welcome.
So, and yeah, sorry about the well, we get the idea of the material for sure. How about what to start? Maybe it all depends on, okay, you're a teacher, but what is the trend? Do you have ideas on what is the trend on the topic trends on podcasts for teachers? That if I start, what am I going to start with to talk about what? Well, how do I start topics and stuff?
Where on earth
What
to
would
start?
you? How would you start? Yeah,
Big
the beginning
questions.
is always difficult. Yeah.
Gosh, well, firstly, I think it can be quite intimidating if we just try and kind of look for topics that are trending in mass media, right? That can be quite a scary space to navigate and think about what our value proposition is, particularly on topics like AI. AI is very much trending at the moment. If we try and just tackle that on a large scale, that could be quite a large goal to set as a beginner. What I encourage my trainees to do on the Podcast Pathfinder program I do, that's a beginner course for podcasters. I get them to really identify who their target audience is. So rather than setting large, kind of their net large, like casting a large net, I should say, a wide net, trying to really focus on who your ideal listener is and what they are interested in. So let's say you're working with let me take an example. You're working with Spanish speakers who have moved to the US recently, and they are struggling with English because they are mature students and they need a way in. And you know that they find the school environment really intimidating. So maybe in that case, your podcast focuses on, it's in Spanish and English, it's mixed, and it focuses on key things like key phrases and scenarios that your learners need in order to start building their language level to be successful. That's just one example taken from a podcaster I'm working with. But that whole kind of really being really niche and being really intentional, really asking yourself, what does my ideal listener need? What's going to serve them, and then following that as a path rather than looking to the bigger kind of media trends as your indicator. Because really, if you try and please everyone, you just end up pleasing no one. So it's better just to be really intentional about who you're creating content for.
Exactly. It's pretty much like a teacher. It's like a teacher in the classroom. You get to know your students very well so that you can start to give the right what they need.
Exactly. And saying that, isn't there so much transferable skills that teachers have that just slide over into media so easily? Podcasting is very much like doing a detailed learner needs analysis. Exactly what you do for your listeners, like really talk to your listeners, get to know what they want, exactly what you do with the students.
And I think one thing as well, like for example, AI, it's a really trending topic, but like it's moving so fast, and unless you're a really big AI expert or anything, your content probably won't match the content of other real experts with AI. So maybe also go with what you're comfortable talking with as well.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you planned out like the first 6 episodes of something you want to say. Maybe you can stick to topics that you're really comfortable talking about. Maybe you have a big interest in reading strategies for language learning or something like that, so you might want to talk about that, for example. Go with something at first that you're really comfortable with, and then it's going to be much easier to make the podcast, and what you have to say I think will really resonate more with the listener, because it's coming from a position of authority and knowledge that you already have.
Exactly. And that's just so much easier to kind of plan, isn't it? And talk about. It will come through in your passion and authenticity in talking about something that you have experience with. And I think a lot of teachers hesitate in putting their voice out there because they feel like they're not experts in something, but your experience as a teacher talking about your context is really powerful in creating space for other people who may be listening to be like, oh, that really resonates for me. Oh, I do that too. Oh, I hadn't thought of that. And that's expertise in itself, is opening the door to what is very usually a closed door profession. We have inspectors in that do observations, quite scary observations a couple of times a year, but having that space to kind of open up the door is credible in itself in talking about your experience from things that have happened.
Yeah.
We get a question in the live. Basa was asking, I want to start my channel English for kids. Any advice?
Oh, this is really
As a first
exciting.
question. Thank you.
Um,
Yeah.
so going back to the idea of like who your ideal audience is, I think if you can talk to parents and do a little bit, have a few conversations now to kind of get some ideas. This is how you kind of start building fans early on. Is before you even start recording the content, you start talking to people who would be your ideal target audience. So you can talk to them about ideas for topics, maybe giving. Walking through, do you think this would be fun? Would you like this type of thing? What sort of, would you like me to play games on my channel?
Mm.
That sort of thing. What's your favorite game? Like asking those sort of questions are really reassuring. And then when you're ready to go live, you can say, hey, I created this. What do you think? And get their feedback. So going back to that ideal listener, talk to them now. Do talk to a few different people, 5 or 6 different sets of parents to get your ideas. And that will really help to inspire you. Brilliant question.
Great. So I got a question, especially for podcasting. It would be like, what can you tell us a little bit about the steps that involved planning or producing educational podcast episode? How should we start? How to plan everything? How to do it the right way?
I don't know if there's such a thing as a right way, but I can tell you a way that really works well,
Yeah.
that saves time, maybe. The first step would be to think about your vision. And I know this sounds probably a bit like, oh, are we not starting with the tech?
Yeah.
But I think many people overlook this. Like, what are you hoping a podcast is going to do for you? Do you want to use it to grow your business? Are you using it as a way to kind of grow your personal brand? Is it a complement to the teaching that you're doing? Is it kind of like a flipped classroom approach? What's the vision? How does it fit? That's the first thing. And I encourage people to really visualize that and how it fits into what they're currently doing. The second part is, I would say, to plan 6 episodes. You learn so much from 6. If I'm ever planning any type of media, 6 is a good number. You tend to see repetition and patterns in terms of, oh, this is a bit of a challenge, or, oh, this is working really well when you commit to 6. And it can also stand alone. So if you choose at the end, well, I'm not going to continue with this, it's still a nice packaged project that you can utilize, turn into blogs, turn into other things, recycle, clip up, that will serve you. So that would be the first 2 steps. And I can see Stuart's is biting at the bit to add a bit more. What are you going to say, Stu?
No. It's just what I was going to say was when we were talking TEFL, we talked about some things that are bottlenecks for teachers to get going, things that they worry about, and obviously that tech is one, but we talked about how you don't need a lot of tech to start. Another one is that perhaps teachers might not know what to say. We've covered that as well, but one thing we also talked about TEFL was that some teachers can be quite worried that they're going to look silly in front of their friends. Hey, look at me, look at my new channel and everything. And they're kind of really worried about that. Is there any kind of advice you might want to give to those kind of teachers?
Yeah, it can be really tricky, can't it? Particularly if you start thinking about everybody who can have access to it. If you're putting something out in the public sphere, I mean, not all podcasts are public. Some do them privately within a learning management system, or they're behind paid subscription walls. But if it is in the public sphere, like you are at the the mercy of everybody listening to it. But coming back to that point of who your ideal listener is, you're not for everyone. And so if somebody listens to it and doesn't follow, that's not your problem. You're designing content for a very specific person. And I think if you really get intentional about imagining who you're speaking to and who you're creating content for, so it feels like you can literally visualize them sat across the table from you when you're recording, it becomes so much easier because you're creating stuff for them. And these are most likely people, real people, that teachers who are creating content know. And when you kind of visualize those people, it becomes a lot less intimidating, I find. And all the rest, it doesn't really matter what they think because it's not for them. It's for this particular person.
Yeah, that's it. And I think the world now and social media, I think people are getting used to people like putting out content and stuff, and you shouldn't feel stupid about promoting your ideas and your knowledge and promoting yourself. Basically, that's something that we're going to speak to about shortly as well. Shouldn't feel shy about promoting yourself. It's okay to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And if you've spent time in providing valuable content for your listener, you know what they need, you've given them some ideas or strategies, well, whatever your podcast is about, they'll be happy to hear from you. They'll know, like, and trust you. They'll build that relationship with you. So when you say, hey, I'm running a new course on this, like Stu, you were mentioning the 50-hour course you're launching, I bet your followers are so excited to hear about that because they've spent so much time with you that they're like, oh, Stu's doing a thing. Oh, I'm really excited to hear about that. And because they already have built that relationship. So I think see it from a point of view that like the things you build are to serve, again, that ideal listener, the ideal audience, and it's valuable. You're helping them. So why would you not tell them about it?
Yeah, so true. So true.
And we get Maria asking, hi, how often should you release episodes?
Oh, I love this
Thank
question.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Maria.
Maria. I get asked this so often. I should really like kind of create content around these questions because this is super. It should be what's sustainable for you. So don't get sucked into weekly releases if that's not sustainable. So going back to that kind of starting plan 6, ideally finish editing three of them at least before you start releasing. And maybe for you that would mean releasing once every 2 weeks or once a month while you work on finishing the following 3. But go back to what you can sustain and what's consistent. When I was podcasting a few years ago, I wanted to scale my portfolio podcast, TESOL Pop. And I wanted to go from being once every 2 weeks to once every week, because I just thought, oh, it's just the thing I want to do. I want to try and grow. But I wasn't in a position where I had the resources or time to do so. So I went to once a week. And can you guess what happened? Like after I went to once a week when I wasn't ready?
Yeah.
Can you guess?
Yeah, I get you didn't have time to, you probably made time, but like you sacrificed other stuff and you probably pulled a ton of your own hair out.
Exactly. And I began to really not enjoy podcasting as a result. I almost gave it up because it just wasn't fun. And I'm glad I just kind of took a moment to ask myself, why am I putting myself under this pressure? Like, why am I doing this to myself? And I went back to every 2 weeks, and then I began to enjoy it again. We're now a weekly podcast because I have the resources. So I learned from making that mistake that really you have to go with what's sustainable and what you can remain consistent with, and also what will bring you joy. If you find yourself in a position not enjoying the creative process, I find personally it does come through. I can tell that I'm not enjoying it, and it becomes a bit of a strain. So that try and avoid that. I hope that's helped, Maria. Thanks for your question.
And we get another question from English for all over asking, do you set targets for followers?
Yes, I do. Maybe less so followers, but more so downloads. So I guess there's a few metrics that you can look at. And for me, I've been looking at the number of download rates. That means like how many people are actually getting the podcast on their devices. And then I look at the listen rate. So what's the listen through rate? And that's been really good to kind of see how well promotions are working for podcasts. That this is one thing that perhaps people won't ask me, which I'd like to share, and that is, if you're going to create something, please tell people about it. Please don't just build it and expect people to arrive. Please be open and out there and saying, hey, I have a podcast, I think this is going to be helpful, would you mind having a listen? Hey, I have a podcast, it's about this, I think this could be helpful. Like, tell people about it. Go to spaces where your listeners hang out, and then look at the analytics in terms of the download rate. Yes, followers is very useful to look at, but downloads, listens, the amount of time that people are spending listening to an episode, these are really helpful to kind of help you make strategic decisions about content and how you structure episodes. Brilliant. We've got
Great. Yes, all good. Yeah, I was reading Paul, who's writing. That was the question I wanted to ask as well. Is how can teachers promote their podcast, to reach a wider audience and including students, parents and colleagues, maybe. Also, how can they promote their podcast?
Yeah, so I see the comment there about ads. I would advise for going organic first rather than paying for adverts when you're
Yeah.
starting. I mean, paid adverts can work later on if you want to obviously invest in that. But I think the best places to start is to ask yourself is, where are your ideal listeners hanging out? And I don't mean like physical spaces, although it can be physical spaces. Like Stu and I were at TEFL this week, which is an international convention for TEFL and TESOL teachers. So of course I was there with TESOL Pop banners, telling people about TESOL Pop, giving out cards, and chocolate to bribe people to listen to the podcast, and that went pretty well. But I also post in groups online, social media groups, like LinkedIn has like an ELT professionals group where I tell people about the latest episodes. I do it on Facebook. I write blogs and articles for journals where my listeners are reading stuff. So really go to places where your listeners are hanging out and tell them about it. Remember, you're providing value for them. So you should tell people, and so they can make up their own decision if they want to go and listen or not.
Yeah, I think that's. I think if people can identify what's working and then just kind of follow that, I think lots of people do like a kind of like a scattergun kind of strategy, a little bit of Twitter, a little bit of LinkedIn, and kind of look at the analytics, right, and kind of smell what's working, kind of thing. And like you say, ads, paid ads can be expensive. Often they don't kind of work that well, and especially if you're starting out, it's like you say, grow things organically. You talked about like writing articles and things. How, if you wanted to use that as a strategy for getting your podcast or your new website or whatever it is that you're doing, what kind of ways would you use to identify what to write and who to write for?
Yeah, so I think it's kind of going through the different journals and spaces. So, for example, I write for ETAS, which is the English Teachers Association Switzerland, and they share a very similar audience to the TESOL Pop audience. Not everybody in the ETAS audience will be exactly my listener, but there's a good proportion who are. So, again, coming back to kind of writing stuff and looking at not pressing your agenda necessarily onto those journals, you have to really also look at what their audience needs and how you can maybe bring, for example, my case media, and I do like a resource review where I review books, courses, gadgets, and other platforms for teachers. So that's a good space to kind of get my name out there. And I'm not necessarily talking about the podcast all the time. I'm talking about things within my realm of expertise, and my bio's there, and it says where they can find out more. So I think that's a good strategy to kind of see, like, are they a similar crossover to your target audience, and can you provide value to that particular space as well? Did I answer your question, Stu? I feel like
yes,
I may
you
have
did.
not.
Yeah, very, very well, because it can be quite kind of like not intimidating, but you kind of you don't know where to start. That's the thing, and you sit down, you're like, right, I want to do this, but I don't know how.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You mean with like the podcasting itself, or the promotion, or both?
Everything, you sit down, you're like, well, other people do this. I think I can do this as well. I've got something good to say, but I don't know how to begin.
Yeah, I think maybe a good space would for those that may be feeling that way is like, oh, I don't know where to start. Is why not just try it out? I mean, we're doing a guest interview today. There's lots of creators like Mike, like yourself, Stu, who would welcome having guests on their shows. So maybe experimenting that way and working with other collaborators, bringing value to their spaces, can be a great way to inspire yourself to think, oh, yeah, actually, I think this will work for me. And to also start finding your voice as somebody who wants to use your voice to create media, whether it's podcast videos or live streams.
Yeah. Do you know, today you've probably seen on the TV, today's a London Marathon, right?
Yeah. I
The
haven't
London
actually been on
Marathon
TV
today,
yet.
thousands of record number of runners, and they were talking to a marathon runner, and they said, what's the biggest piece of advice you can for someone who would one day like to run a marathon? He said that the hardest thing to do is to go out through the front door.
Yeah.
To do your first one, to open the door and step out into the road. And I guess it's the same with podcasting, right? Just sit down with pen and paper and just begin, just try it.
And we can be our own worst critics as well, can't we? When we listen back to things, I think that's also an area of discomfort when you're working with media that you're going to edit and if you're editing it yourself, that can be quite a difficult thing to face. It's not comfortable, is it really, when you're having to listen back to your voice and see
it's
yourself?
not intuitive. Like you mentioned Audacity, which I use as well. And it's free and everything, but blimey, when you open it up, you're like, what do I click? So it kind of takes you a while to get your head around it.
Yeah, and but once you do and you find like your shortcuts, like with any editing software, they usually find your shortcuts that work for you, and you also are able to kind of control the recording environment more. We always say when we're creating content is that post-production's fixed in pre-production. So like really setting up your microphone, doing the test, making sure you're in a good, quiet, small space to capture the best audio quality, and maybe having talking points planned on what you're going to say. That's going to reduce your editing time significantly. And as you get to know what sort of edits you do, like the dropping of the music, like for example, Mike, you had your intro music, you've got those already stacked, right? That's part of your routine.
Exactly.
You find it gets easier, right? I imagine like you've been doing this for years.
Yeah, there are awesome platform. Like I use what is it called, Restream.
Yeah.
Before we used to use Streamyard, but with Streamyard it's quite limited because you cannot have, it's very important to be close to your audience. So when you use this overlay, you can say a little hi. You can see everyone's message, and that's very important. Some people like it, others not, but it's very good as well to, when you do podcasting, you help each other, so you can promote sending those little QR codes that are really helpful. It's all cooperating for the good sake of helping everyone, teachers first. So when you get, because when you finish your podcast, when you finish the live, after that, you get tons of questions. Where's that link? Where's this link? And that link. So it's a lot of workflow for teachers. I'm not a professional in doing podcasts. I've learned with Stu, we've learned right away, like after the podcast or before the podcast, we talk to each other. We're like, okay, man, what did we do wrong? Just like after a class, we look at the lesson plan back and see what didn't go well, so we learn every day with this for sure. So it's tough. Platforms are very important, but I would say maybe step by step. Thoughts now, think that now StreamYard is really user friendly. Today we are on Restream, and it's even better than StreamYard, I think. So StreamYard used to be very, very in front, but now Restream is taking over because it's user friendly and you can switch, very easily. The production is really nice, so it makes it more friendly.
Yeah. And that's
User
exciting.
friendly for sure. Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
media is
Look,
evolving
I'm
so
in China.
quickly.
You guys are in UK.
Yeah.
This is look at that. This is incredible.
It
You know, you
is.
told me that 20 years ago. I would like, with two, we were in the classroom in China with only a chalk and a blackboard. We had nothing of all these. You would see in front of me. There's lights everywhere. You get two screens, and you get that stuff and this stuff. Oh man. And even I don't spend that much. I like secondhand stuff, especially with students. They have some good secondhand stuff. Some for the camera that is here. It's a T5. It's a Canon T5. I think it's a EOS. It's a 700D in China. But I bought it from a student. University student. He didn't need it anymore, so I still use it till today. Yeah, and it works very well. I don't need to change. If I change, maybe I'm gonna use my phone because phones today are incredibly powerful
They really
for
are.
podcasting. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. And I think that comes back to that point of like how fast technology is moving.
it's
Even
incredible. Yeah.
as creators ourselves, we're all always learning new things, aren't we? So it's not like unless you're kind of in the tech space of creating the platforms and really developing them and testing them, and you're in that kind of really close space of the tech teams themselves. All three of us, as people who use media regularly in live and pre-recorded, in the case of me, spaces, I'm always learning new stuff and I have to stay up to date with it. And I think that's really good for us to kind of admit that and be open about the fact that we're learning. Like I use Adobe a lot, so Adobe is always releasing updates. I have to talk to other creators who are using Adobe to stay up to date, because I often miss bits if I don't have those chats. I may miss like the latest tool, which there was one they dropped recently that helps to really polish audio quality in noisy environments like TEFL, where we recorded this week, Stu. So
That one.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's brilliant.
and
It's fast.
they're working on AI too.
Yeah.
That you don't even they're gonna grab your sound, and I think they're gonna keep it like you just have to text it and it's gonna use your sound. I think this I can't remember. Oh no, that was another. There's too much stuff, man. But on Adobe, I know that they're doing even if you use your phone just like that, and the sound is not going to be very good, especially if you're far from your phone. And I know that Adobe, with the use of AI, is going to make it like professional sound. I think
Yeah,
it's what you're talking about
exactly. Yeah, there's this
without any microphone.
yeah, exactly. I mean, we were using with a microphone, and we were competing with all the noise in the exhibition hall where we were recording. And that's really difficult to treat audio. We could spend a long time treating the audio to try and elevate the speakers' voices and push down the noise of the environment. But now they've got this like amplify, literally it's a button that you press. And it's incredible the way it's able to kind of differentiate between the speaker and the voice who's you want to hear, and to still keep the background noise in there, but in a nice kind of hum rather than it
more kind of
fighting.
ambient.
Yeah, exactly. Which I think is incredible. That saved me huge amounts of time in editing.
Yeah, well, when we were making the video, Laura, the other day at TEFL, and yeah, it was busy. It was a busy conference. There was literally hundreds of people walking by at any one moment.
Bro,
People were like coming into the booth, coming out, browsing, just chatting to people behind. And you sent me the video that you sent me the video the other day, and I checked it. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you say, you can still hear people moving around, but it wasn't, it didn't distract from what we were saying.
Exactly.
It was amazing.
It's coming back to that point you said about audio quality. Like it's nice to have like a little bit of hum, but you don't want it to be so distracting that listeners drop off because they're like, oh, I can't really hear what Stu's saying. It's really uncomfortable. It's actually quite nice, isn't it, in the sense, because you can see in the video that we're stood in a busy environment, so it adds to that ambiance. But your voice is coming through really clearly, which is fantastic. And yeah, that was literally just something I clicked to do that, rather than having to go all through the settings and do different treatment, which would take me 30 to 45 minutes to get that kind of right. So that's really miraculous.
Yeah, we were actually talking a little bit about microphones as well, right? Because we've said that audio is so important when you're setting out, when you're podcasting, make videos. You don't have to spend a fortune, but spend a little bit, maybe, just something you can plug into your phone, get it right.
Yeah.
This is my one. We were talking about it because I told Laura that I said that I use this one.
Is that a Blue Yeti?
It is the Blue Yeti.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's a great mic. And I thought this thing was like a tank, and you could drop it out of a window from 100 stories and it would bounce and be fine. And Laura was going, no, don't do that.
Don't do that to microphones.
Yeah, but so I mean, this was quite expensive. I looked at Blue Yeti, I looked at the Yeti, I look at Rode. I believe you use Rode, right?
I use Rode, yeah, I love Rode.
Yeah, and it is an investment, but as long as you treat them right, put in a case, be like me and treat them really carefully, you can they'll last you, and it's definitely worth it if your podcasting is beginning to work and you're beginning to get more downloads, more reaction from followers or whatnot. Yeah, get out. Oh, Mike, you got a Rode there.
Yeah, Rode fan. Rode team together.
This one is for the video. I haven't been using that one for so long because I'm not shooting too much outside. We do more lives than anything else. But this microphone that I get here is a Shinny Sennheiser. I'm not sure of the name of it, but it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Sennheiser. Yeah. My first microphone was a Rode, the very small video mic, the very small one. The very first one, I can't remember. I may have it here. Oh man, that was lavalier. I started with like really almost like nothing, but I'm lucky because I'm in China, so a lot of stuff are cheaper than if I was back home.
Exactly. You've got some really amazing teams. So I was at IBC last year, which is the International Broadcasters Convention, which is where everybody exhibits, like the microphone manufacturers, lights. You can imagine it's absolutely vast. It's about 6 or 7 times larger than the TEFLs do, to give you an idea of like how big the exhibition is. And I was really impressed by the Shenzhen-based company Comica, and the microphones that they have on offer for both mobiles and also cameras. And I think they may have some plug-in ones that they're experimenting in podcasting if they haven't already got the offering yet. And DJI as well. So DJI is known for its drones. And I was surprised that they're also bringing out a collection of microphones too. And for those watching in China,
they got good gimbals. Gimbals.
They have. I've got a DJI gimbal. I forgot about that. Yeah. Love it.
The phone.
Us nerds.
We're gonna change to how does it called? Digital podcasting, or what is it called? Talking about all the tools, but it's a part.
Question actually, like kind of bring you back to the podcasting. So people out there, they're like, right, okay, I listen to this podcast, I've got this to say, I want to go ahead and do this, I want to have a podcast, I want to have a YouTube channel, I want to do more on Instagram. Why would they want to do that? What benefits could it give teachers watching this live stream? What can they get out of it back?
Yeah, I think this can vary from teacher to teacher. So I think coming back to your vision of what you want to achieve with a podcast, or what opportunity do you feel it fills, or what challenge does it help you address? So let's take an example of one teacher I know who started a TikTok channel and creating content there. And she's about to start a podcast as well. Her content is all for teenage students who are preparing to take their GCSE and A-level exams. And during exam time, like it's the same in China as well with the Gaokao. Like there's a lot of pressure as students prepare, and they may be doing long study periods alone, maybe at home or in the library. And she really wanted to kind of reach her students, and TikTok was where they were hanging out. She's now moving to podcasts now that she's got a large following. She wanted to provide that create content that supported them, helping them review things, help them feel encouraged, help them feel supported and not alone. And that was the challenge that she had identified, because she couldn't reach them any other way. And she noticed all the stress her students were facing. So I think it comes back down to that, like, where's the opportunity? What's the challenge it's going to help you resolve? And as teachers, you're experts in seeing where the opportunities are. Maybe your learners don't have, or maybe your target audience doesn't have a lot of exposure to the subject of study that you're teaching. Maybe you only have them for a few hours a week. So maybe media that they can access on demand will really help them review and help continue them thinking about what they're studying, rather than having to cram it into the limited hours you may have with them in terms of the school schedule. So there's just a few ideas.
Do you think it could help, like, people find a job or something if they were like looking for like want to move for a different city, want to move to a different country, change their role? Do you think having like a digital footprint and a podcast or a channel would help?
Absolutely. I found in my own experience, TESOL Pop, my portfolio, the podcast, spoke for me as my personal brand before I even entered rooms. I feel I definitely got opportunities to take on significantly high paid rates of jobs. And I was able to move from Hong Kong and that context to Europe because people knew me through the podcast and I had a presence. Otherwise, I used to work in digital media and education. A lot of the content I used to create for my employers is locked behind paywalls, or it belongs to them, rightfully so, because that's what they paid me to do. So I didn't have anything to show for my work. So the podcast is a great way to be creative, show what you can do, and for people to see it, and it then becomes part of your branding. So that's really powerful in when you're wanting to kind of explore the opportunities and attract opportunities. That's also really important. That's certainly been the case from my experience.
Yeah, very, very interesting. I guess it's a similar thing for me. TEFL Lemon, I was able to move from China back to the UK. People have heard about TEFL Lemon. If I introduce myself, you're the TEFL Lemon guy. It's like, yeah. So it definitely does help. So, and it kind of, all of the time you put into it, and it is a ton of time sometimes behind the scenes, right?
Yeah.
But it is worth it. It's worth doing, and it's fun as well. I've enjoyed what I've done over the years.
Yeah, I think it's about keeping it sustainable, isn't it? So you still have time for off time and still fun, and you're not working all weekends, which is what I did beforehand when I tried to scale a bit too quickly. So I think keeping the fun and the creativity flowing is really important, and going at a pace that suits you.
Yeah, Mike, you hit out the park. Like you're 600,000 followers now on YouTube.
Wow.
Yeah, that's incredible. I never thought about this. I didn't do this channel on purpose, everything, like pretty much everyone was pushing us to do it. Yeah. So when I go, a lot of people, they say they know me when colleagues and all stuff. Oh yeah, they don't say you're the Mike's home ESL guy. They say you are the peel banana guy. Because that's one of the very famous warm-up that a lot of teachers use in the class. Is really fun. They engage kids right away. But so it's all good. Yeah, we started I started really from nothing. That was quite a story for sure.
And how long ago did you start, Mike?
Oh, how long? That's since 2016, at the end of the year. 2016, because I posted a video about Baby Shark. Yeah, can you believe that?
I forgot
And
about
then
that.
at that time, Baby Shark wasn't that in the hype. It wasn't in the trend. But in school, and that was for kids content. The teacher was always using it. Baby Shark, and you would have the kids sitting and singing that song. And I was like, I didn't like that song at the very beginning. And then they came up, Ping Fong, the creator of that Baby Shark song, came up with action song. which was completely different. And I taught the kids how to do the action, and that was awesome to see 55 kids in a classroom dancing like that, whatever they were saying. It was really engaging to them. And what I did is I just take a picture. I just take a video for my mom. She wanted to see how is it to have 55 kids in a class, and especially dancing the baby shark. So I use YouTube I use YouTube to show videos to my mom instead of sending it's too big files. So and then so after 2 months, the video went like 2 million views.
Oh, wow.
I had to figure it out everything because my YouTube channel was not even a name. Like that was my own name, normal name, French name, and I was using it only for that. And then when I see 2 million, so I had to learn about YouTube, monetizing, keep on doing. I was like, what I'm gonna do next? What is gonna be the next one? Obviously, everyone was like, you get a viral video, you got to go on. I said, go on with what? That was my, and then I remember one thing. I wanted to something that helped people because I remember when I arrived in China, they just throw me in the classroom
Yeah.
without anything to do. I had no idea how to teach. You get the kids. I was like, can you say apple? And then the kids started crying, and I had to figure it out, a lot of stuff myself. Plus, I'm not a native speaker, so that was really tough for me in the beginning. But after that, so I wanted other teachers, like how I can help them with that in the class so that they don't feel, because you feel really bad, when you enter in classroom, you don't know what to say, what to do. Okay, so you look like a foreigner, you go in the classroom, that's all. That was that 20 years ago. Stu can tell. You had that foreign face, that was all good. The school would give you that money, you would stay in here, and that would be good. But so I try to give my experience away, and apparently it worked. A lot of people like it, and that baby shark is still crazy with almost 200 million views. So
Wow.
that's really, without ping pong, we wouldn't be here today on this platform, helping others, helping teachers. So and ping pong has been really very, very nice. They send me boxes of books for my students because when they
Oh,
saw that video, they say, "Can we help? Can we say thank you to the students?" So ping pong is from Korea, so they send. I say, yeah, I got 55 kids. They say it's okay. You will receive 2 boxes, and the school received those 2 boxes. And I give it to the students, and we did a special party for that baby shark fun. But that's a story. Yeah, how I started was like I'm a lucky one. I'm a lucky one, but you know.
but
I
you.
tell you what, though, Mike, it just goes to show that you don't need all of this fancy equipment.
Mhm.
This goes back to
Exactly.
the beginning of this live stream when you're saying you don't need this stuff. All you had was your phone and an idea to
Yeah.
send a video to your mum to show her what it's like to teach in China in front of 55 kids. You set your phone up, you press record, and you start singing Baby Shark. And that was just the very beginning. So it just goes to show that people who are watching this live stream, you don't need all this fancy stuff. All you need to do is just go with what you have and just give it a try.
Exactly. Thank you so much. So make sure to go and check out Laura's website right here. You get the QR code. Thank you so much for being here, joining us today. I guess if you guys get questions, feel free to leave questions in the chat because we're gonna say hello. If you guys, we're gonna say goodbye. Sorry. So if you want to, yeah, it's not easy to podcast, believe me, especially when you are the host. It's easy to be. I remember I had a couple of was two. We had a couple of guests, and many of them were like panicking pretty much. Like before the live, they were like, "Yeah, but so I always try to make people feel good before the live, because there's a waiting room where people wait before the live, and then I always try to make people feel good, like take it easy, relax, and at the end of the podcast, it's always like, damn, it was fun. I had fun. That's so I really encourage people. Everyone has his own expertise on something. And I really encourage that people just, practice, and you're going to get better. And really, thank you very much for all these advice, Laura. That was a good one.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. I've really enjoyed our chat. The time has flown by, so that's a good sign, isn't it? We've had so much fun chatting. Thank you.
Exactly. It's still Sunday, so thank you for your time on a Sunday
My
morning.
pleasure.
I guess it's noon, right?
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's afternoon now, 3 o'clock, I
Afternoon.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Thank you, Laura. I can see in the chat we don't have much questions, so we're gonna stop for today. Thank you. I hope to see you soon in another live. Make sure to check out as well. You get communicating with for impact, right? This
Yes.
is more about really podcasting in any kind of ways. You don't even if you're not a teacher, right?
Yep, that's right. It's for everyone.
And as well, TESOL Pop, right? Very fun name. So you are the owner.
Yeah.
How to say? Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
that's
the
it.
owner and the producer, and I host interviews. So maybe I'm hoping to get yourself and Stu on the podcast soon. Maybe that's something we can do in the future,
That
because
is
it'd be
something I would
great
love
to
to
have
do.
you on as guests.
Yeah, I'd be honored
I
to
would be
join.
very happy. I would
Mm.
be. That would be a great honor. Thank you. No problem. Sharing my baby shark
Yeah.
story. Yeah, you never choose what is going to happen in your life, right? Great. Thank you. Hope to see you soon.
Thanks,
Bye
everyone.
bye, Laura.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
See
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Stu.
No
That
worries.
was
Yeah,
awesome.
that went well.
That was very good.
Yeah.
And so tomorrow is as well a special day for you
Yeah, so
for
I've
lemon,
written all
TEFL lemon.
the see, a lot of it was already written from the full course, but I had to like go through it, change stuff, change all of the banners, change those of the pictures, and then I had to make landing pages. I had to like talk to lots of people, WeChat, LinkedIn, Facebook. They're asking me questions. And when you're doing it by yourself, you've got no
Yeah,
staff or anything.
it's really tough
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah,
Um, but thank you very much for your expertise and being here today again, because it's Sunday for everyone. Yeah, for
yeah.
especially for me, it's Sunday 10 p.m. Yeah, I got to work today, so make sure to go and check out TEFL Lemon courses tomorrow, 50 hours for free.
Yeah,
Isn't that
absolutely. Yeah,
right?
it would be great to have you along. It's been it's been a lot of hard work and everything, but yeah, come and join it. It's got lots of new videos and stuff as well, which I've had to create. I've done a few interviews, so they've gone in as well. Yeah, pretty tough. So yeah, please join.
Great. So maybe next week another live if you are free. Maybe we be talking about vocabulary, or maybe not. Whatever.
Yeah.
I
So
hope to see
yeah,
you.
well, we're speaking to speaking to some people. So I think maybe next week we could do vocabulary. We've got a very exciting guest lined up, I think. So yeah, keep watching.
Thank you so much, too. Thank you, everyone, for following. If you're watching the replay, thank you so much for being here till the end. give some likes, support the channel. Thank you on TikTok, on Instagram, guys. You're awesome. And we'll see you next Sunday, 9 p.m. Beijing time. The ESL live stream, your live stream, the teacher's live stream. Let's rock. Bye-bye, Stu. Thanks, you,
Good
bro.
night, bye.
Thank you, bro.